You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock, the Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, back for another of our Belgian beers in Season 9. My name is Mark and joining me is my beery pal Steve. Hello Steve.
Hi Mark, how you doing?
I'm alright mate, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Very good. This week we look to the Haacht Brewery and a beer that won World's Best Beer 2014 at the World Beer Awards, a 6% blonde ale called Tongerlo Blonde. But before we get to that, what have you been drinking, Stevie?
It's been quite the beery week for me once again, as things seem to be every week now. I went to the Irish Embassy, mate. Check this out. I got an invite to the Irish Embassy from the Ambassador of Ireland, Mr. Daniel Mulhall, and Mrs. Greta Mulhall, in association with Bald Beer, the Irish Food Board, request the pleasure of the company of the Beer O'Clock Show. What was called a spirit of sharing reception. Basically, well, no, it was actually my name, but I wasn't trying to make it sound better than it was. Basically, what it was, they were showcasing the best of Irish drinks producers. So there were whiskies and gins and cream liqueurs, and then there were a number of craft breweries there as well. So got to go around and got to meet the guys from White Hag and from Wicklow Wolf and O'Hara's and a few others as well. So there were about 6 breweries there that were showcasing their stuff. And it was a good evening. Tried some really good beers. Came away with quite a nice takeaway selection as well, which they gave us as we left. But one of the beers that I had there was a real standout. It was a new release by Wicklow Wolf called Children of the Revolution. Which was an IPA, and it's been brewed to celebrate the Irish Revolution in 1916, which it's 100th centenary this year, or not 100th centenary, but it's the centenary of the 100 years celebration. And that was a really tasty beer, and it actually caused quite a bit of controversy in the week as well on an Irish radio station where the presenter decided to get all righteous about them using the word children in the title and saying, well, this beer is just it's being marketed to children. What an absolute bell end, honestly. I mean, I'm sure our friends from over the water, Wayne and Janice, have probably covered this in their podcast, but honestly, to think that by putting the word children in your beer is going to encourage children to drink beer, twat is the only word that comes to mind. But anyway, that's getting slightly away from what I've been drinking this week, and I'll get back off my soapbox. I've continued my own Belgian discovery. I've got a newfound love for quads, and I drank Fort Lapin Quadruple 10 at the weekend, which was absolutely stunning. It was sweet, and it was like drinking raspberry flavoured thick stout. It was just, oh mate, it was lovely. It was a real standout beer of the weekend for me. So yeah, those 2 beers in amongst all the other stuff that I drunk this week have been real standouts for me. What about you, mate?
Fuck all.
Fuck all.
Apart from, well, we did some beers last night because we've got a couple of little special episodes that are coming in coming weeks, but I'm not going to go into details. I'm going to let people be surprised about that kind of thing. So,
be surprised or go through your Untapped feed and find out what it was that we drank back to back.
Or by the time you get this episode, we've already released one of them.
Yes, we would have done. Yeah,
this month's flavour of the month. But the other one is a little mini-sode that's coming out in a few weeks' time. So, yeah, I need to get back on it.
I think you do, mate. I think you and you need to come out with me. You need to live my life for a week.
I do,
and that's what you need to do.
I'm having a pretty shitty week at work already, and it's only Monday, so I imagine I'm going to have a few this week to get me through. Anyway, news. You got any news for us, mate?
Do I ever say no to that question?
No. Here's your pips. Beep 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 beep.
Okay, so first up, a brewery very close to my heart, Magic Rock. They have been shortlisted as a finalist for BBC Radio 4's Food and Farming Awards 2016. They've been shortlisted in the Best Drinks Producer category, and it puts them up with against entries from across the UK. So good luck to the guys at Magic Rock there. I think they're really flying the flag for brewing in the UK, and it would be great to see them win that award. So you can find there's more information about that available online if you want to search it out. Got some new beer news. So this is from Oakham Ales, the producers of the much loved favourite Citra, and the M&S version of it as well. At the recent Craft Beer Rising Festival, they launched a new keg range called Oakham Craftworks. So it's things like their Green Devil IPA will now be part of this range. There's a blonde, there's an export stout, there's a porter, an IPA. It's all the stuff you'd expect from a craft brewery. Quite why Oakham feel as though they've had to go down the route of having this Craftworks label, I don't know. I think Oakham's beers pretty much speak for themselves. But those beers are available now. Check out Oakham's website for more information. More beer news, and sticking with the Belgian theme, this year's Duvel Triple Hop is now available, and it's using a hop that's so new it doesn't even have a name. So this year's third hop is Experimental Hop 291 that's been added. And later on this year, Duvel will be releasing a limited edition 6-pack of the 6 triple hop brews to date. So that's going all the way back to 2008. You'll be able to get a 6-pack with all these different beers in. So keep an eye out for those ones. Siren have released some information about their annual brew, Maiden, which is their anniversary barley wine. That's going to be launched on Friday the 1st of April. So that's 50% of freshly brewed barley wine, which is then mixed to a combination of the same beer that's been aged in various barrels, and it's all blended together. So keep your eye out for that one. And then the final piece of news this week, again, it's another new beer release, and again, it's linking to our Belgian theme. And again, it's just showing that where we lead, others follow, mate. When we've done Belgium this season. So Brewdog decide to release a Belgian version of one of their much-loved classics. It's part of a series that they're doing this year. They're playing around with the Jackhammer beer, which is a much-loved West Coast IPA. And this is the first of their Hammerheads series. It's called Monk Hammer. So this is a Belgian IPA. So that's released now. It's available now from all good stockists. And that's it for this week's news, mate. But why we're on the theme of Brewdog, and seeing as never to be one without a comment about what those guys are up to, did you happen to catch a particular TV programme that was on in the last week?
I did.
Okay, so Who's the Boss was on BBC Two. It's probably available on iPlayer, and it featured Brewdog in what was quite a unique experiment in terms of recruiting new people, but using your entire workforce to make the decision as to who's the best fit for it. Now, when it went live last week, Twitter had a mini meltdown over it. I watched it the day after. I know you've watched it. A lot of people saying that Brewdog came off looking really badly. A lot of people saying that, well, no, the recruitment consultant that was involved came off looking really badly. A lot of people saying, well, hey, it's just television. What did you expect?
Yeah.
I'm just really keen to get your views on the programme, mate. What did you think of it, first of all?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't see what all the fuss is about. I don't think any particular party came off looking that bad. But I also don't think any particular party came off looking that good. You know, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't watched it, but I'm going to spoil it for people who haven't watched it.
Spoiler alert.
So, Brewdog James, his kind of about turned, because they were doing this whole collaborative hiring thing. As Steve was saying, they get the recruits in. The recruits go out and perform tasks amongst the rest of the workforce without knowing that the workforce are watching them and watching video streams of them doing things or doing tasks and judging them and deciding, ultimately who's going to get the job or not. And it got to the point where James decided that these 3 people weren't good candidates for the role that they were going for, which was regional area manager, I think was the role, wasn't it?
Yeah, for London and the South East, wasn't it?
Yeah. So instead decided to offer them a different role, slightly in the same realm of responsibility, which was regional property manager or something like that. Because he didn't like... Well, his feeling was they weren't the right candidates, but he wasn't interfering in the collaborative process. He was still opening it to people to judge them. And I saw a lot of comments on Twitter saying, along the lines of, he's open to risk except when it's risky, and criticizing him for backing away from that. But really, it was just he thought, as someone who has hired people before, he could have just let it go all the way to the end and wasted everyone's time, because he wasn't going to hire these 3 people. Whether they, the staff could have said, well, it's this person, and they would not have been fit for the job in his eyes. He would have sacked them pretty quickly, and so he decided to salvage it halfway through, and I don't blame him for that. There's also chatter. He was saying that they didn't send him the right CVs, but the recruitment agency have come back since the broadcast saying that he was able to vet them, and they saw the CVs before the show was put out, and all this kind of stuff. So it's a bit of, 2 sides of the story. They all came across, slightly weak in it. I don't think it was the big PR disaster that everyone's saying it was. It's Brewdog. If they can get their name on anything, they will get their name on anything. They don't really give a shit.
And just so happened that it dropped in the same week as a brand new beer release as well.
Yeah, but I will say, looking at their work environment and the teams that I think they got a smashing work environment. I wouldn't mind working there. They all seem like a really nice bunch of people.
Well, I think I said that from when I went up there and visited that time, that the passion that James and Martin have as the owners of Brewdog literally does come down through their entire workforce, and that's something that you can't take away from them. I just think, unfortunately, that what ended up being what was probably an interesting process, for whatever reason, fell foul and didn't end up being what either they or the producers or anybody wanted of it.
Hiring people is a boring process, and that's not going to make captivating television without some cheeky editing and something going wrong along the way. I mean, really, if you went, imagine hiring someone. I'm sure you've hired people before, and if someone filmed it, it was like, fucking hell, that why you would want to watch this shit. And they tried to spice it up a little bit, but ultimately it's just a bad idea for a TV show, in my opinion. I don't, that's about.
Well, I haven't watched the other 2 in the series, so I might go back and watch those and compare those, because they obviously weren't within the brewing industry; they was from elsewhere. So, but you know what, mate, I'm bored with the amount of airtime that we've given to Brewdog now. So without stopping short of sending them a bill for the amount of advertising space we've given them this week, should we crack on and get into this beer now?
Yeah, let's get into this beer. It's from what's the brewery name? Is it Tongerlo? No, it's Haacht.
Haacht.
Look at my fucking notes right there on the screen.
And I know some of our listeners have really been enjoying our pronunciation of some of these places over the last few weeks as well. So
Haacht.
Hatched. I was going for hatched.
Haacht. Anyway, it's called Tongerlo or Tongerlo Blonde. It's a 6% blonde ale.
Tongerlo.
Let's just get into it. Lovely and smoky on the opening. Oh, nice. Nice aromas just coming straight out of the bottle opening.
Oh, it's lively. It's really bubbly. It's really fizzy.
It's a glass full of foam so far. I'll wait for that to settle down a little bit.
Pours as clear as you like. That's a lovely golden colour in there, as you would expect from it.
Yeah, lovely yeasty, lemony notes coming off it. Bubbly as fuck. I've got a 4-finger head on my glass. That's how active it is.
Yeah, I've got about a finger. I'm getting lovely bready aroma off of that as well.
Yeah? Kind of like really freshly baked bread.
Oh, I'm actually I'm salivating at the prospect of this, mate. Something's happened. I'm turning into a Belgian beer wanker.
I'm going to fight through this foam so you don't have to wait too long, mate. So let's get into it.
Cheers.
Cheers, pal.
Okay, now that is what I think a Belgian beer feels and tastes like. You know, we've been kind of saying all season, where's the Belgian-y? Where's the Belgian-y? I think that's it there. It's kind of, it's lively in the mouth. The bubbliness is all around the tongue. You're awash with yeasty kind of bready aromas and flavours as it goes through. Then you get a slight hint of citrus towards the end, and that just leads to a lasting soft bitter finish. I'm not going to say it's massively bitter finish, but there's enough bitterness in there to make you know it's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely and light. You get this prickly bitterness as it's going over the tongue. Like you're saying, that citrus, lovely light lemon flavours in there. That lovely, not overpowering Belgian yeast character, but it's there, so you know what country you're drinking.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. Yeah,
it's really easy. 6%, too easy for 6%.
It's
really refreshing.
A little bit. There's a slight tartness to it as well, but I think that's coming with the lemon flavours that are in there.
And it's not thick at all. It's not going to weigh you down.
Oh no, this is one of those beers for sort of a summer afternoon in a beer garden, just sitting and watching the world go by as you enjoy a few of these.
I mean, this beer won World's Best Beer in 2014, so we had high expectations for it. And this is pretty fucking classy, really.
Yeah, I mean, a beer doesn't win the World Beer Awards by not being any good, sort of thing. I think I mentioned to you last night when we were recording that it looked like a pretty unremarkable beer in an unremarkable bottle, and you went, fucking hell, mate, it's won the World Beer Awards. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to do a little bit of research on it. So yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a good beer. I mean, not only did it win the world's best beer, it won the world's best pale and the world's best. It got a gold award in the world's best, and it got a gold in Europe as well in 2014. So it's a beer that comes with some pedigree.
Yeah, and it's just lovely. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if they do this in cask or keg. I can't imagine what it would be like if it came out of cask, because I think the carbonation in it is one of its defining characters. I think it really helps with the lightness of it. I'd imagine that it would come in keg, but I mean, this is refreshing. You could drink on this all night. It's still got that beery sharpness. It's got that bitterness that cuts through. It's not sweet, but it's light enough to give you the impression of sweetness, and the lightness helps with that as well. And it's so refreshing. It's so drinkable.
It is. That's the thing that really stands out for me about it. Is it's as refreshing as you like. It's just it just washes through your mouth and on a wave of sort of like lemony bubbles, and that's stunning. It really leaves you wanting more of it as well, which I think that's a sign of a great beer, isn't it? That you just want to keep going in and keep enjoying it.
Yeah, and unlike some blondes that we've had before, it doesn't have that residual biscuitiness from the malt being left behind, which can sometimes weigh the flavours down a little bit. This is just hop flavours, lovely lemon, citrus, and that Belgian yeast coming over. Really, really nice.
It's very clean, isn't it? It's a very clean beer. It feels clean. It's got a lovely clean finish to it. It's all perfectly balanced. It's an incredibly stunning beer.
Indeedy.
Would you like some background information on the Haacht
I would love some Haacht.
Brewery brasserie? It's one of these that actually doesn't really sit on either side of the fence. It's not a brewery or a brasserie. It actually classes itself as both. So it's an independent family-run brewery. It's been around for about 110 years, and it's true Belgian craftsmanship, or at least that's what they say on their website. They have been around. They're a family-run brewery. Been around since 1893. Started off as a dairy farm on the current site before the brewery was created and founded. And then running right through until 1950s, where they introduced the bottled beer to their production, and through to today, where they've actually modernised their operation now. They're updating all of their equipment, and they're now so they're extremely modern and they're ready for the future. So current head brewer is Frederik van der Kelen, and he's been around for about 40 years now. And they're the third largest Pilsner brewer in the Belgian market. So for more details, you can visit www.haacht.com. You might want to check our website for the spelling of that. Because I did just sound like I was clearing my throat at that point. Or maybe we'll link through in the show notes if you want to have a look on at their brewery website. Quite a detailed history on their website, going all the way back to 1893.
Cool, and this is obviously one of the beers that you can get in the Season 9 box from beautifulbeers.co.uk. Check that out and check out the discount code that you can get from our website. More details about that at the end of the show. But as we're sipping, I'm working my way quite quickly through this beer, Steve. And I'm sure you are as well.
I'm trying to steady myself for a change because I want to just see if it changes as it warms and it sits in the glass for a little bit.
I'm thinking I need to get another bottle of this, but I don't have one to hand, so I'm going to have to order one. Do we have an Instagram of the week, mate?
We do. And taking this week's massive empty box of nothing. He's one of our favourite Instagrammers. With a beer that I mentioned earlier. This is a picture from Son of a Gun, with the children of the revolution in front of some papers about the revolution. It was the one picture that really stood out for me this week. So congratulations, Son of a Gun, on winning this week's Prize. That means I've got to find postage to get it over to Ireland again. If you are interested in entering the competition for the biggest box of nothing you're ever likely to come across, put your picture on Instagram, use the hashtag CheersGuys, and if it's the one that catches my eye next week, you're going to mention on the show.
Very good. Carbonation on this has died down a little bit, making it really smooth and bringing out those malt flavours just a little bit. So giving it a little bit more body, which is quite nice, quite pleasant.
Yeah, it's coming through as a little bit creamy now as well towards the end. Kind of a really creamy, soft finish to it.
Indeedy. Do we have a hop topic?
We do. Again, a really good one this week, and we're really grateful for everybody getting involved and making comments. This week's hop topic, the question was, how important is a brewery's core range? So the options were very, not so much, or change is good. 61% of those getting involved this week went for very important as a core range to a brewery. But as always, some interesting comments. So our top 5 comments for this week. The Irish Beer Snob Wayne said, core range brings in regular punters. It's a foundation to build on, but specials keep beer fans interested. Case in point being Brewdog. Can't argue with that one. Pete McCary says 5 Points is a great example of a brewery nailing the core range as a priority before they started adding other beers. That was also backed up by Earthman Joanne, who is at Paperclip Racket, also got involved, saying that 5 Points were a good example. Grandad Greg says a core range is important, but so is development and innovation. Craft Beer Geek UK says core range is very important to establish the brewery as a great one and to engage the masses. However, one-offs are just as important to keep us enthusiasts shouting about them. So there's a lot of similarity in what people are saying this week. Core range brings people in, but then to keep people there, you've got to experiment a little bit more. And then finally, Michael Lally, who's at Bushcraft Beer, says core is key, especially if you want to sell to pubs and restaurants who are looking for continuity and consistency. Seasonals are good for showcasing brewing talent, but gets too confusing around the narrative of a brewery unless you're Cloudwater, who are an exceptional exception. Now, this was an opinion that was backed up by many. So also people referencing Cloudwater as completely turning things on their head were Max Bobfield, Evs Bristol and Martin Oates, all of them saying core range is important. However, Cloudwater have come along and they've completely blown that out of the water with their seasonal range. So, any views on this week's hot topic, mate? Is how important is a brewery's core range?
For me personally, not so much.
Okay.
It's nice knowing, recognizing beers from breweries. I mean, Salty Kiss, it's a part of their core range, Magic Rock's core range. It's good to know, a brewery's standard beers, but I like dipping and diving and trying, pick and mix. That's my approach to beer boards. I don't tend to go for beers that I know all the time. So a core range, because I'm not looking at it from a business perspective or an industry establishment perspective. For me, it's pick and mix. I don't really give a shit what your core range is, as long as you've got good beers going on, that I can try. I'm always trying something new. That's basically my highly educated opinion.
That's fine, mate. We're all entitled to our opinion. I'm not. To be honest with you, this one stumped me a little bit this week, and I'm almost lost for words. Let's pause at that suggestion. That I've got nothing to say about something. I think a core range is important, and I've got to agree with a lot of the comments that people made this week. It's the core range that attracts you to a brewery initially. If you've got a brewery that are nailing their core range time after time after time, for me the examples would be the likes of Buxton and Magic Rock. I know I'm going to be able to go to them and get a pretty decent IPA every time, because I know they've got that in their core range. However, once I'm engaged with a brewery because I like what they're producing, I then like to see where they can take it and what they do with their seasonals, with their experimental stuff, that sort of thing. But again, I've got to agree with what a lot of people are saying, that Cloudwater have come along and they have completely turned that on its head in the last 12-15 months, because they've no core range. They come along, they produce beers based on what ingredients are available, and their beers are consistently good. It almost comes back to the hop topic that we did a couple of weeks ago in terms of the consistency. That's the key thing here.
Yeah.
That's what a brewery's got to now to get people involved.
Indeed.
But the conversation continues. Let us know your thoughts on this week's hot topic. There won't be a hot topic next week, because next week is one of our highlights of the season, which we're going to tell you about in a second. So there won't be room for a hot topic in next week's show, but there will be a hot topic the week after. So make sure you keep your eye out for the conversation on Twitter.
Indeed. So as we're winding down, mate, any final comments on the Tongerlo Blonde from Haacht?
I've just taken my last swig. It's still got that lemony, bready goodness to it. It's got a slightly, for me, I'd say there's a slightly spicy finish to it. Not spicy hot, but kind of spicy, like ginger, that sort of feel to it.
Yeah.
leaves a lovely clean finish in the mouth. I'd happily now open another bottle of this and then probably another one after that, and then I'd probably be singing after that. Yeah, it's a great beer. Another good selection from Rene at Beautiful Beers.
Yeah, indeed. I can only just echo exactly what you just said. So, yeah, this is in the Beautiful Beers Season 9 box. You can go to beautifulbeers.co.uk and or actually just go to our website, beeroclockshow.co.uk, click on the Season 9 beer list, and the links are all there. Straight through to the Beautiful Beers box on the Beautiful Beers website. Go check out René's range. He's got all the Belgian beers you could possibly want, and beers from all over Europe. It's just a great selection, and you can get a 10% discount from those beers from our website as well as from Ales by Mail, Beer Merchants, and eBreer. They all offer a 10% discount code to our lovely Beer Clock Show listeners. So get on to the Season 9 beer list and you'll see all the discount codes there and links to their websites. Now, coming up next week, Steve alluded to one of our season highlights. It's the homebrew special next week. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I was looking at the beers on the weekend and there's a fucking barley wine in there, mate.
I know, mate.
We're going to be done.
I am blown away by the fact that somebody's thrown in a barley wine. I was literally like, there's barley wine. There's a homebrew barley wine. It's like, what's going on? Yeah, we'll be working our way up to that one. It's fair to say that's going to be the last beer of the evening. But 3 incredible looking beers again from some very, very talented homebrewers.
Indeedy. And we have an interview at the end of the show.
We do an interview with David Shipman, who is the founder and one of the organisers of the Birmingham Beer Bash. Tickets for the Birmingham Beer Bash are now on sale. So check out the interview that we did with David about the history of the event and what you can expect from this year.
Yeah, so stick around after the tinkly music for that. Right, that's it. Episode 140 in the can. 60 more till 200. Until next week.
To start planning the party now.
Until next week, mate.
It's been the highlight of my week.
And mine. Bye-bye.
It's Beer O'Clock and I'm sat in the Craven Arms in Birmingham talking to the mastermind behind the Birmingham Beer Bash, David Shipman. David, welcome to the Beer O'Clock show.
Thank you.
Okay, so Birmingham Beer Bash into its 3rd year this year in 2016.
Fourth year.
Okay, done. Yep. Damn my research. Not as good as I thought it was. So into its 4th year.
Yes.
Give us the history of the event.
Okay. Well, it started off a little bit like we are now, sat around the table in a pub. There was a few more people involved, but lots of people who got together through Twitter, through Facebook, through talking about beer, finally decided, let's get together, let's go and have a drink, let's go and do it for real rather than online. And we met up a couple of times, talked at great length about what we thought was missing from the local beer scene, how Birmingham was, in our view, getting left behind some of the developments of elsewhere. As kind of always feels the case with beery developments here, we all seem a little bit behind the curve. And once we'd had a few too many beers, we thought, well, we could sit around talking about this for months and years. We could wait for someone else to come along. We could go to a festival that wasn't what we wanted in the end, or we could do it ourselves. And that's really where it was born from.
Okay, so instead you feel as though Birmingham gets left behind the curve a little bit. Why do you think that is, and why in the end did you say, you know what, we're going to settle on Birmingham and we're going to do this thing in Birmingham?
Well, Birmingham was an automatic choice for us because that's where we were all based. Most of the team behind the original event lived in Birmingham. There was 2 or 3 of us that were a little bit further out, but we all had links back into the middle. I worked in Birmingham. Most of the people worked in Birmingham. Some of them were involved in beer business in Birmingham, but most of us were just drinkers and we enjoyed it. And we'd seen what was going on elsewhere, and it wasn't happening in Birmingham. Quite simply, London was creating all these great events. Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, it was all going on in those places. The bar scenes there were so much more lively. There were so many more adventurous outlets, and we thought, Birmingham needed that shot in the arm as well, so it didn't get left behind, so it stayed being the second city.
Okay. And you mentioned right at the beginning that you guys got together, you were chatting through Twitter, Facebook, that sort of thing. How important do you feel the role of social media has been in kind of bringing you guys together and enabling you to bring the idea to life?
To be honest, social media has always been at the heart of the event. Most of our advertising has been through online means. We've used some print advertising, but it's always been in support of that. We built up a huge following through Twitter, through Facebook, partly because of that being how we started all of this. That's where we came from, and that's very much been at the heart and continues to be.
Mm-hmm. And you've got to be pleased with the success, because it seems to have grown year on year. It's building a buzz around it now whenever it starts being chatted about on Twitter, certainly from what I've seen. What do you think has made it such a popular event among the beer community now? Because I'd say it's now kind of one of the top 2 or 3 festivals in the country.
Yeah, we have been rated very highly by people who've been along and been to us and some of the other festivals in the same ilk. And to be fair, we have had a lot of good feedback from brewers themselves who come down and get involved, and their involvement has been part of the key to the success thing. The whole thing's about the atmosphere. We're known as being quite a laid back, quite a friendly atmosphere. No real pressures or pretensions. We get in some great beers. We've had some absolutely stunning stuff. We've been across the spectrum of different beer styles, introduced some great things, but at the same time without getting up ourselves about it, and we have just always been very, very laid back and relaxed. Beautiful atmosphere in the summer when the sun comes out. We've got outdoor space by the canal. It's been a fabulous venue for us from that perspective as well, so it's been really chilled.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this year's event. I know at this stage you can't reveal too much about it. What are the dates, first of all? So what are the dates people should have in their diary?
So the dates, 21st to the 23rd of July. I have to think about that for a minute. After 4 years, all the dates start to blur into one. So that's a Thursday through to a Saturday.
Okay.
We tend to do a Thursday evening session, then 2 sessions on Friday, 2 sessions on Saturday, of around 5.5 hours per session.
Mm-hmm. And what can people? What are the sorts of things that people can expect from this year's event?
This year, we're making a little bit of change this year from what we've had the past few years. We've always had a large varied bar that we've assembled ourselves from various sources and involved beers from a wide range of breweries, and we've had keg bars and we've had cask bars. This year we're stepping away from one of those two, and we're actually not going to be providing the cask bar, which we know is going to cause a few raised eyebrows in certain quarters. But to be honest, we found with the range of beers that we've had on offer, the cask hasn't sold, and it's become a very expensive handicap for us. So we're moving the focus very much to all keg beers. And also, we're just working more closely in partnership with some of the breweries now, for them to come down and bring a slightly more curated range of beers from each of the breweries that get involved, rather than the model before where we brought in a huge different range of beers, but you could never be sure which breweries were going to be on the bar, let alone which beers on a given day. So all the breweries involved will be there every day, but they'll be bringing around some of their exciting offerings.
Okay. And around the event as well, you run a series of fringe events around the city.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
The fringe events in previous years have always been just around the site. People come along for a session, and there's the opportunity to go to a separate beer tasting or a talk by a brewer. We've had talks from Farham's hops merchants. We've had talks from Boke and Bailey, the bloggers. We've had talk from Ron Pattinson, the blogger and historian. All sorts of people coming and doing those little sessions that have happened around the site. This year we're working with the local camera group to promote a whole week of beer events. Okay. So this isn't about Beer Bash, this is about Beer Week for Birmingham. So we'll have our own fringe events at the festival. We'll be at the back end of that whole thing, but for the 9 days leading up to that, there'll be a whole host of other events going on in the city as well, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean that is exciting news, because we're seeing that more and more now in the UK, aren't we? We're seeing more beer weeks cropping up in cities, and I think what that shows, that's testament to where beer is in the UK right now. What's your view on where we are with beer right now in the UK?
a hugely exciting time for the drinker, for the consumer, and we're also at a very interesting time for the industry. I mean, there's been unprecedented growth that will have its casualties, and things are definitely changing and shifting. There's a load of new breweries cropping up, but there's a load of breweries sort of disappearing, getting smaller, moving aside, and so there's a huge amount of change and turmoil and things going on in there. It's a time of massive change, but for the drinker, there's never been so much opportunity that I can ever remember.
Yeah. And I think festivals like yours just help that process as well, because it gives you an opportunity to try more and more beers, new breweries. You get to have little samples, and you just get to enjoy it with friends.
Absolutely, yeah,
as well.
Yeah, that's a great part of it, and we always try and get a good balance of some of the more established breweries and some of the local breweries, some from further afield, some that are completely new to the area, but all bringing the same ethos. We want the quality stuff, we want the good stuff, we want something that's a little bit different to what people would normally see. So even the sort of more household names in the Midlands, when they come along, we're trying to encourage them, do something a bit different, do something a bit special, spread your wings a little bit with it, and test things out.
And it might be too early to say, you've not even run this year's event yet, but where do you see things going in the future?
Well, we certainly don't see, unless something goes seriously wrong, any stop to this at the moment. We've already penciled in the venue for 2017 as well, so we're still on a roll. We're still planning to move ahead with this. Hopefully Beer Week this year will take off as well, and that's a really good opportunity. As I said, we've got camera involved in that as well, so we're trying to cover the whole spectrum of things that go on in the beer world, and hopefully that will just grow and in the next year or two we've got more breweries coming into the area, a little bit more variety there again, and so there's more things that can happen. We can build on this.
Okay, so where do people go to find out more?
Well, as we said before, social media is at the heart of what we do. So our Twitter account, which is Birmingham Cubed, or our Facebook page, Birmingham Beer Bash. They're two great ways to follow what's happening regularly. We've been a bit quiet the past few months because, to be honest, we've been working hard behind the scenes, but that's something that as we get closer and closer, that coverage just ramps up. But the real heart of finding out what you need to know is the webpage, birminghambeerbash.co.uk. That's got links to ticket sales, that will have information about the breweries as they get announced, about the beers that we're expecting them to bring, how you can get involved if you want to volunteer, all sorts of things like that.
Okay, great stuff. So encourage people to check out the website and to follow you on Twitter. Okay, well, David, listen, I appreciate your time. You're obviously very busy getting ready for this year's festival. Cheers.
Cheers.